infant tests on the board of a sailing lady.
First, I will just say, if you're watching this video, subscribe, because if you're watching it, that means you must be interested, and I'm sure I'm going to do some kind of updates, and I don't want you to miss it. So before I dive in, I'm going to say, please, thank you for watching, and make sure you subscribe to my channel. Now, so back in August of 2016, I took the Ancestry DNA test. And I actually have the box here. It comes in a box like this. Hope you can see this. I'm filming in the evening. I'm trying to catch some of the natural sun before the sun. I'm trying to catch the sun before it goes down. So bear with me. But so yeah, I took this test back in August, and I was actually on maternity leave when I took the test. I had my daughter back in May, and in August I decided to take the test, and I got my results back the second week of September, around my birthday, which is ironic. I believe I got it back September 13th, and my birthday is the 14th. So yeah, so what you do is you pay about 90 bucks, and for those of you who not remember, if you do know about this, just skip along in the video, but not too much, because I'm going to give you a brief description of why I decided to take the test. But so what you do is, it comes in a kit. You pay 90 bucks. You go on to Ancestry.com, and you fill out, you know, your tree or whatever. And then there's a part for DNA. You click DNA, you pay the $90, and you wait for your kit to arrive. It doesn't take long for the kit to come. I would say about maybe 7 to 10 business days, which is standard. I don't know if you can have it come quicker, but that's the normal, I would say. And then it comes in a box like this. There's a little container that has a little blue solution up top, and you just put your saliva in there, and you shouldn't eat anything or drink anything 30 minutes before. You shake it up, you send it back in a postage. It comes with postage, and the instructions is inside. All you do is, after you put your saliva in, you close it, you shake it, you put it in a closed plastic in a box, and you send it back. And then you have to wait 6 to 8 weeks for your results to come back. So what prompted me to take this test is various reasons. I guess you could say it started for me back when I was in college, just taking, well, prior to me even entering college, I've always been interested in knowing my family history, like something about African American history, and just knowing where you come from always is intriguing for me. And I'm usually like talking to family members and inquisitive about, well, how did we get here? Not so much how did we get to Earth, but how did we get to the state that we live in? You know, how did our family migrate here, and what happened during those periods? You know, what did our grandmothers go through, or grandfathers? How did they meet? You know, I've always been very interested in knowing where we come from. And so when I entered college, one of my courses was African Americans, the history of African American history, I believe it was, that I took, and worldview versus the European worldview. And once I took that course, it kind of changed my life in various ways. I probably could do a whole video on that, but what I will say is that the main thing that I got from that course was not only the reason why we do things that we do as Black people, but also just like knowing like what happened to us and why we tend to gravitate towards certain things. And also, you know, it just really helped me understand a lot more about my background. And also I felt like that course should have been taught sooner than college, you know. And for a while, you know, I remember coming out of college and just advocating to other people like, yeah, have you read this book, or have you read that? Have you taken this with this professor? He's awesome, amazing. And we had group discussions, and you know, it was a really, really good course. In that, from taking that, I kind of always was more intrigued to a little bit deeper into my roots of where I come from. So I would say a combination of personal reasons, obviously. I see the results here, 9/13. I have my phone here, and I am going to read my results. So my results came back 79% African and 19% Europe, Europe, 1% Asian. Yeah, 19, and 1% Asian. So in that 79% African, my main, the largest part that I have is 22% Nigeria, 16% Benin, Togo, I hope I'm pronouncing that right, 14% Cameroon, Congo, Mali 11%, African Southeastern Bantu is 8%, Senegal 5%, Ivory Coast, Ghana 3%, Asia Central 1%, Europe West is 11% with trace regions of Ireland, Great Britain, Finland, Northeast Russia, Scandinavian, Iberian Peninsula, and 1% Caucasus. So yeah, you get a map and it shows you the regions. It color coordinates everything. And then you can see here the percentages. I knew some pieces because my mother and my aunt, they really, and my grandmother and great grandmother, they gave a lot of information in terms of, you know, as much as they knew to us, to my cousins and all of us over the years. So we have been privy to know a lot about our history. Not all of it, but a good majority of it. So on my mother's side, I was always told that we have some Native American Indian in our family, just like a lot of, I'm sure, African Americans have heard. And also, you know, white. I'm not, it's not a surprise to me that we have white in our family because my mother is very fair skinned. My aunt is fair skinned. I have cousins who are fair. But my mother's father is mixed. His father was white, and we have a picture of him, and his mother was black. So it was really close in our line, in our, you know, in our lineage. So for me, I wanted to know, you know, when I saw the picture, you know, I wanted to know, like, what is his descent? You know, is he Irish? Is he, you know, Italian? Like, what is his makeup? Where did he come from? And then on my grandmother's side, you know, there was also, you know, different people that we didn't know because they had come from, my family originated from Georgia, and then part of my mother's side moved to Detroit, and then my grandmother and my great-grandmother came to New Jersey. And so, which was their final resting place. And there was a family reunion, and I had not attended, but my aunt did, and she disclosed some information about our history in terms of, you know, we had a lot of people who, we had some Africans that were there, and, you know, it was just intriguing, and they were Nigerian. And so, you know, I was a little skeptical because I'm like, yeah, everybody thinks that, you know, because of the antebellum slave period, that mostly the where they did all of the slave trade, I believe that was in Nigeria. So I believe there was millions of, I think 3.5 million slaves that were brought over were from that Nigeria, Congo area. So it wasn't surprising. I'm like, yeah, everybody's probably from that area, although there's a big thing about the Israelites. I could go into a whole thing about that as well because that's in the Bible and whatever. Anyway, I don't want to get off track, but so from hearing about the family reunion, that prompted me to want to, like, I was like, you know, I wonder how much, I wonder if that's going to show up in my DNA. I was like, I wonder if we're really from Nigeria. Like, I wonder where I was. Not surprising to me. Like I said, I had already known that I had Nigerian in my family. I just didn't know that it was going to show up in such a high percentage in my DNA. That was a little, you know, it wasn't that surprising, but it was a little bit like, oh, 22%, that's kind of like a big amount, you know. What was more surprising to me was that I only only have 79% African, and that's not a high number. I mean, some people have like 89%, 99. You know, obviously it's not going to be 99. I knew I had some European in my family, but I didn't think it was going to be 19% that was going to show up, considering my father is black. So I was that my family went to all of these regions and they survived slavery, you know, for me to be able, like, for me it's deep. It's like, oh my goodness, my family, the ancestors survived so that we can be here and thrive, you know. And it's like, wow, they went through so much, you know. And then the other part of that is that, okay, that's one part, but then the European side is, okay, my grandfather's father, I don't know, you know, what he was, you know, was he a slave owner? You know, it's so, you know, it's like crazy to me. I'm like, what was his father's father, you know? And so, you know, I was talking to my mom about certain things, and, you know, at the end of the day, I feel like this makes up who I am. It's not going to change anything. If anything, it's just going to enhance who I am, you know. And now I have something that I can tell my children, and I have resources that I can rely on and go back. And so this is the second part to the test. So once you get your results back, it gives you the breakdown of your countries, which is way important, because then you can start exploring. You can start thinking about, you know, why you may like certain foods or don't like certain foods, or you may want to visit those regions. And then you could do a deeper dive if you want. There's another, not in Ancestry, but with, there's another test with AfricanAncestry.com that's separate from Ancestry, where you can find out like your actual tribe that you are a part of, and they give you a certificate and everything. I don't know if I'm going to take that test. I probably will, because I'm very interested, but I probably won't do that this year. I may do it sometime next year, maybe. I don't know. But I'm definitely interested to see, to have something to compare to. So, okay. Was I skeptical about the test? Like, did I feel like it was legit? Before I took the test, I was a little skeptical. I'm gonna be honest. I was like, yeah, it's probably gonna say this region, that region. I know my history. I know the history of African Americans in the US. I know what we went through. I know certain things, but do we really know? Like, are there records that was lost? Like, how do you get all of that information? So when I started doing the research and start connecting the dots, like, oh my goodness, yeah, this is true, because there's something called a census report that was put out, I think, even in the 1700s. And so as I started not only with my DNA, but going into my actual trees and researching, you really start to pull things together, and you see like, oh my goodness, my great grandmother lived here when she was 10 or 11, and this is her mother. And you know, when you start to really put the pieces together, it's well worth it, and it takes away any doubt, I would say. I mean, in terms of like the countries, you know, you're not going to have a definite, because they move so much around, but you do have an idea. Like, a country doesn't really give you what tribe you belong to. It just tells you the country. So it's nice to know what region and what countries that's your blood. DNA doesn't lie. The second part of how I feel is that I am so glad that I did the test. I'm not ashamed of my white side. I knew it was there, and it's not here nor there for me. I mean, I think for me what's surprising was that I didn't have any Native American in my DNA. And that was the part that I was like, really? Because my mother said this and my aunt said this, and I know we have Black Hawk in the family. But then I started researching. I realized, oh, those genes can skip. Really? Yes, they can skip. So I may have not gotten it, but that doesn't mean my cousins haven't received that gene, or someone else. So yeah, so it's definitely interesting. So the other part to the test is that when you do your DNA, you also should do a tree. I would recommend you should do your tree first and then do the test. But if you happen to do the test first, just go back and do the tree. That means fill in as much information about your family as you possibly can, because when you do the test, you're going to have matches. So for me, I had 176 cousins. I had a third cousin, fourth, and and then so I was like, wow, are these people really, am I really related to these people? And this is the part where I was like, okay, this is legit. I found a family member who had my grandmother, my great grandmother, my great 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 grandmother in their tree. And this was a DNA match of a fourth cousin. And so it matches it for you, and I'm like, oh my God, I'm emailing people back and forth. People are contacting me, it's just so, it's a new experience, but it's a great experience because you can see the documents. I'm able to see so much about my family and history, and not all of my pieces. I'm still trying to learn a piece of my family. And so I'm looking for stuff. I think that if you have any doubt about how legit it is, just give it a try. Talk to as many family members as you can, document everything, and put it in the profile. And just go from there. So I am happy. Yeah, I'm 79% African, 19% Europe, and 1% Asian. Oh, and the Asian West is like the Pakistan area. So I don't know if that's part of the Indian, but that's not how I had thought of Indian. And so the other thing is there's a lot of trace points. So let's see. My trace regions are Senegal and Ivory Coast, Ghana. And so what happens is, what trace regions are is that the genealogists who actually go out and study and do all of this, they go to active tribes and they swab them, they take DNA from them, and they compare that DNA to yours, and that's how they're able to tell you what part you are from. Now, like I said, if you want to know what tribe you're from, then you need to do Ancestry, African Ancestry DNA, which I haven't done yet, but I think I will do. I just don't know when. And that test, I believe, is a little bit more. There's also another one, 23andMe. I believe 23andMe is more about like if you have any illness, if you want to find out like your lineage, like what you're prone to, which is good too, if you want to know that. But yeah, so I think for like what was interesting for me, the trace points for my Europe West is Ireland, Great Britain, Finland, Northwest Russia, Scandinavian, Iberia Peninsula. So my Europe West is up top, and that's by Great Britain. It's also next to Paris and Germany and something else, but that's what I remember. See, and like when you click on each region, you could read like some you can read the descriptions of each country and the population, and also it gives you like the percentage of you are compared to the native. So like for instance, for Nigeria, it showed up that 69% of Nigerians would show up. Out of that 69%, mine was 22%. So I'm really 22% out of 69%. That's a high percentage. That's why I kept saying it's a high percentage. So yeah, so my mom is going to take the test because she hasn't taken the test. Her result, she just sent it off and it's processing, so she's going to get hers back, and I'm excited for her. She's excited too. It's just going to be good to see like where we compare with our DNA, and I'm so interested in seeing like where she is with that. And so I hope this video isn't too long, but I really just wanted to talk about my results, what it means to me, why I took the test, and where I'm going from here. So where I'm going from here is I am connecting with family members. I am thinking about doing the African Ancestry.com one where you get to see your what tribe you're actually from that's still alive, because I think that's important. And I think the next thing for me is just do more research and see, where I want to go with it. Like if I want to go on vacation, where I would want to, do I want to visit these places? How much documenting I plan on doing. I have reached out to my other family members and asked them to take the test as well, just so that they can, you know, learn more about our history so that we can pass it on to our children and have something, to pass down. Yeah, so, it's exciting. It's something new, and it gives you, I don't want to say closure, but in a sense, it is like closure because you really get to see where you come from. I mean, I'm a mixture of a lot of different countries, and the interesting thing is I have no American, and that for me was probably the most shocking. I was expecting to have a little bit of Native American, although I do know that it was that Native American is hard to pick up in African Americans. So I don't know. I'm waiting to see if it's going to show up in any of my other family members, because I know for a fact it is in our line. And I don't know. I'm waiting to see. So yeah, I've taken the test. My husband wants to take the test now. At first he said he really didn't want to take the test, but then as we started talking and things, he's like, and you know what? I think I do want to take the test. And so it's just interesting because I didn't think that the Nigerian was going to show up. To be honest, I really didn't think it was going to show up. I had an idea. I knew that it was a possibility, but I didn't think that it was going to actually show up in my DNA. So that was a little bit shocking, considering it was such a high percentage. 22% is a high percentage compared, considering like I have all the regions around it, which is Togo, Benin, Cameroon, and those percentages are like 16%, 14, 11, Mali, and then Southeastern Bantu, which is South Africa. But up top in the middle, next to Nigeria, all of those other regions are around it. So it doesn't surprise me, but yeah, it's interesting, shocking, and delightful all at the same time. And it's probably the greatest gift I've ever given myself. And I think it's a great gift that you should give a family member or yourself. So I hope this video wasn't too long. I hope it was interesting and inspiring. If you have any questions, leave them in the bottom. Some things I'm not going to go into detail, but I will give my brief opinion on certain things. So you can leave a comment at the bottom if you like. And like I said, yeah, these are my results. And oh, one more thing that I wanted to say is that what this test did prove is that for me, it just solidifies the fact that we are not 100% anything. And as much as I'm probably one of those people who would tell you I am a ride or die African American, I'm ride or die for my people, and not to deny my white side, but I just thought for me, because my skin is a little bit darker, I thought my percentage would have been like 2%, even though it's close in my bloodline. Even though I have a bridge nose, I don't have that. I still thought that it would have been a smaller percentage, but it just goes to show that we are not 100% anything. And so we should embrace each other and spread love. So thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video, and make sure you subscribe and stay tuned, because I will do another video when my mom gets her results back and we'll compare and talk more. So thanks again for watching. Hit that subscribe button. Be kind with your comments and do the test. Bye.